Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This time I'll switch to English. I hope that during the panel about learning, about upskilling, about adult learning, it will be appropriate to switch to language commonly used by the better educated people. So forgive me that I missed to do it during the first panel, but because of COVID, as you know, we had not enough foreign guests to do it in English. That's this contradiction between what I said and what was in the written form. So moving back to basic, let's start. What I would like to speak about. I'd like to speak about demand for knowledge and skills. As you see, we love to speak about it all the time, but look how crowded the room is. And frankly, I am not surprised. This is, but you know, I'm a guy for difficult tasks. You know, in coal country, I took the responsibility to say story about green economy. Now, with lack of interest for learning and education, I took the responsibility to make this presentation about it. Maybe a bit more informative or interesting, or more dull. You'll have chance to make an assessment about the quality. So. The basic thesis is that universal lifelong learning is something what we really need. Everybody is for it. KIGEiT as an organization made a very clear statement on behalf of all Polish NTAs during last parliamentary meeting. I mean, it was a parliament of entrepreneurs organized in Brussels. Of course, we'll focus today mainly on adult learning, but also including social context, because we are on the conference organized by digital industry, and about some tools. Let's start to think about long life learning from in the time domain. Okay, because it is not so that we understand for centuries that long life learning, adult learning is something very natural, despite that we used to do it from the very dawn of our civilization. The first thoughts that maybe it is important was presented by Alan Turing, and it is perceived as a pioneer of adult learning. But on the political level, and his famous book about it was printed perhaps in 90s, 80s only. And previously everything what we found was mainly about, it was the discussion among specialists on didactics and education. The first political announcement was in year 1996, made in the Delors report. So, European Union was once again the pioneer of establishing something what is more universal. Following this report, from the beginning of the 21st century, European Union started to invest significant amount of money to improve so-called human capital, yes? We had the special operational programs in Central, in East European region, just devoted mainly on upskilling and improving our knowledge. Of course, in the meantime, European Union legislation was improved. Adult Education Service as a formal agency initiative was established, and they frankly started to gather any information about adult learning only after 2005, excuse me. So, what we have available to know about quantities when we speak about adult learning. Only the history from year 2004 till now. This is our knowledge when we are speaking about numbers. So as you see, this history is quite short. Following and reading these reports prepared by AES, yes, that's the abbreviation. was the report prepared by the OECD. And they recommended a set of policies. Quite obvious, and I don't think that it's worth to dig in it because it is about money, about governance, equality, and it should be close to the people's experience, yes? The first two points is about try to think about people's interest. If you want them encouraged to learn, to improve their skills and knowledge. But it's not easy to make these policies alive. This is, as you know, because of activities of AES, you have a lot of charts, a lot of tables. But to present it here doesn't make any sense. I decided to show you one. What is this chart is about? It's about how adults are keen to learn. And what we see that in average, more than 70% of people do not want even to speak about it. They don't want to learn, and then they are not interested in what the learning is about. So the most important question we have to answer is why? Despite that they see the surrounding, that each year their skills, their knowledge have become obsolete, unused. They lose their jobs. They don't know how to behave. They don't know how to use phone, computer. Why then they don't want to learn? This is the question we have to answer, but assuming that investigations made by MIT is right, what did they stated after something like 3 or 4 years program, that by nature, we are very curious and we love to learn during all our life. But we have schools. And in these schools, they are really masters in killing our curiosity and our readiness to learn. Why? And I'd like to answer this question because it's this idea of this school burned something like 150 kilometers to the north from my home. And it happened in Prussia. That was a great king named Frederick the Great, who needed primary school to learn peasants to be a soldier. He wanted to establish really educated, with appropriate discipline and with ability to read and write soldiers, to make his small country, Prussia, really effective military. That's the reason why the classroom has a size of squadron. Why this is the teacher in front. It's a commander. That was a very smart concept. And this education was extremely effective. That's the reason why insignificant country started within one generation military superpower. This proved us that learning has unbelievable potential. Because if one would like to say, in the beginning of the 18th century, that it would be a superpower, nobody would believe in it, especially in Poland, because in those times it was after the victory in Vienna, yes? So we were the strongest military power in Europe. Only 100 years later, we failed even to give a one shot when we have dissolution of Polish territory. This is the power of learning and why it happened. Let's look in details. How this tribal knowledge we are equipped our pupils, our students, works like. First of all, programs are very much focused on basic knowledge. But for majority of them is dull, outdated, or impractical. Moreover, we have children in different ways, even if they in the same age, but on the different level of development of their acceptance for this type of knowledge. They want to move, not to sit in classroom on the chair. No way. So the way how we are doing and the set of information they are preparing for them and after trying to learn them is inappropriate, is not natural, it's against human nature. After that, we are forcing them, they are a bit cautious about further learning, yes? So we are trying to equip them with some special knowledge, yes? But everything what they learned in school is that life is a competition, it's a game of interest, yes? This is everything what they learn in the primary school. And the critical knowledge is to be competitive, is to put your interest first. It's a very natural interest. So this is how the primary school is ending. So majority of people before 14 years old are such profiled person. So they are close to the future knowledge because they have to focus on what they have to do now. Moreover, this what is well to know, well to learn, good to know, maybe it's for a richer, you know, for freaks, for dreamers, but not for the ordinary people. This is the explanation, qualitative explanation, about what we've seen on the previous chart. So, how to change the school? And practically, honestly, specialists in didactics and education know it for years, for decades. Yes, for decades. So, a lot was done just to change the order. First, we have to learn children that it's wonderful to learn. It's really fun. It's good to know. And it's really irrelevant in the first stage how much they learn them. What important is to prove them that it is good to be curious, to have interest to the external world. After that, we have equipped them with basic knowledge during the play procedure. They should learning by playing. So, implement on the proper level, learning by doing. And only after that we can make them open for the future knowledge. And this is the concept of the modern didactics. But it's easy to say, much more difficult to do. That's the point. But despite that we do not have proper school, additionally, we have to take into account that we need to prepare them for the future. Because today's pupils is in the age, let's say, assume 5 years, yes? So after 20 years of education, they will have 25. They should be prepared for the cooperation, which will be the basic of majority activities in year 2045. We have to think about it now, not in year 2045. That's the problem, that the distance between what we have to do and where is the result we expect is so big that makes us paralyzed, and that's the reason why we are so resistant against any reforms in education. Because any politician who should do it don't see his interest to doing something what will give them effects after 20 years. That's the point. Now I will move faster, because I have the impression that you colleagues here understand what I meant. So we also have no chance that we can change quickly anything in schools. So the only thing what we have to do is to differentiate the adult learning and trying to focus on those who would like to learn. So to differentiate, it means also to apply the policy recommended by OECD. So for community, on a very basic level, we have to prepare different set of information. And with the hope that it will be, let's say, in some kind, in cohesion with what they used to learn in companies. In companies, they should be prepared, because we are very much focused on improvement to the green economy, let's say to the network economy. They should learn on both levels how to be greener. What does it mean? They should also learn it's not so simple. And sometimes simple solution could be against the earth, not for the wealth of earth and wealth for them. When we come to action, even more complicated the situation is. mainly because we are very much focused on competition. Competition if one do not want to be very, very politically correct, competition is about fight. It's war, everyday war in minds of this implicit knowledge, not explicit knowledge. In case it's a game, you know, but in our psychology inside it's a fierce fight, yes? Tough fight. And this is the perception, the lower the education of the person is, the more this perception is, my perception is more realistic. That's the perception of these people. So the action, we have to learn these people to work in bigger and bigger groups. There is no problem to learn them something in group of 4 or 5 people, because it's a family, very natural size for humans. After that, the tribe, okay, up to 20 people, but nothing more. But what we need as a technology and companies, we have to learn people to work in hundreds or even thousands. To keep in mind that my company is about 1,000 and more people. And we have to act together, not to compete each other, to play games, but we have to have common goal, yes? And a lot of efforts you can see in HR departments, how to do it, how to learn people to unite their efforts. And difficulty is because of a mistake we made during the basic education. The only thing we can do is to implement the SECI model, originally applied to the development of design, products, services, applied to learning, just to understand that people used to have implicit knowledge, and we need some efforts to make it explicit knowledge, and after that go again and close this circle, improved gradually this knowledge. I know and I read that there were some attempts in Switzerland, in United States, but in a very limited but very promising projects. Maybe we should make bigger experiments. 1 school, 2 schools, I don't know how much, but schools only for adults, you know, not experiment and gather this information with the people with certain level of maturity. We also keep in mind levels. Levels on the individual, it is very implicit knowledge, and level of the, let's say, social perception. So we should take care of cohesion between these knowledges. What is going very often is this split, that something is very different here, and after that politicians used to be very surprised how it could happen that we thought that it is this situation, but after that they found that it's completely different issue. And this is the basis. So organizing every adult learning, we have to start from the common understanding. Here we communicate each other, and only having this common language we can make the next step. And what we are doing now, we are trying to implement, because what we need employee to improve his know-how, his expertise. But in the meantime, he lost his motivation. That's the reason why it is so ineffective. You can read in all reports. We made a lot of efforts, it's not effective. Mainly because in this intrinsic perception of the value of this high-level education without changing his mindset, because how to name it differently, we have no chance to improve the situation. Lesson Farrell. Do we have a chance to do it quicker? I mean, within 30 years. I asked this question myself, yes? And I have a very optimistic message. We are in the Central Europe, in the group of countries named Central and East European countries, yes? This is the region. And before year 1990, yes, we lived in an egalitarian system with egalitarian set of values. In socialist, so-called socialist state. with the socialist planned economies. Both frameworks were very dictatorship-like, yes? And we were learned very cooperative manner. That's true. We were learned so, and we were ready to cooperate. But what's changed? After year 1990, Soviet bloc collapsed, and we had to change everything. Our set of values, legal framework, economic system, and mindset. And we managed to do it within 30 years, perfectly. Look in Poland. You have a set of predators doing well in business. Typical market economy. We adopted better than we wanted EU democracy values, added to our socialist understanding. And we brought, by the way, this socialist thinking here. Look the effects on Western Europe. In Western Europe, there is some kind of diffusion of values. Also, we distorted a bit the understanding of democracy, and so on. But this market economy. Look on what's going on in European Union. They found something interesting in planning. So a lot what was not planned before in European Union, after accession, a lot of thinking is more and more planned, but using market economy. It gave us a lot of advantages. Europe as economy doing well. We have wonderful balance, trade balance, investment with United States, most innovative economic region, yes? We are doing well regarding gathering added value for what we are doing. So this connection, this diffusion, both set of values made something unique, like European Union with the mindset of year 2020. Could we do the next big change? Yes, of course. But what we have to do, to impose the same pressure, learning by doing. That's why this was so effective, because we as adults had to learn by doing. So we have a chance to make this next step. I don't want to say that this set of values will not be liberal, but this set of liberals should be added the values of ecological thinking and make some new set of values. The same should happen with the legal framework. We spoke a lot about it before lunch, and after that, it is the same with the economic system and mindset. But what we have to rebuild? Trust, belief in principles, and in people who knows, and in solidarity. Without it, we have no chance to move further. That's what we lost during the last 30 years, both in East and also in the West of Europe. And only after that, we can think about anything like stairs or ladder to the heaven. But we should remember what's the goal. Goal is cooperativeness. So this new world is something about competition, something about cooperation. New way of behavior of the business. Is it realistic? Of course it is. But we have to start to do it now. We have plenty of time. But we should all the time bear in mind, I'm repeating what I said during the beginning, yes? That we have explicit and implicit knowledge. And this implicit knowledge of individuals, are much more important because it's mixed with emotions, with myths, with, let's say, tradition, and many other bad things, okay? Racism and others. And we should understand that it is under the level of the water. So our knowledge is like iceberg. And this explicit knowledge is only small part of the whole knowledge. And keeping in mind this border between upper and lower levels, we have think about cohesion. We should remain this connection as good as possible understanding what's going here and to adopt our actions out there. And this is what in my opinion, adult learning should be about in the next 30 years.